So we'll begin with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya. Actually, I'll project because I'm controlling the screen. Project. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bodhale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminyati Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. I think some of you have joined online. I cannot see who all have joined online. I won't even. I can join via Zoom. I can join Zoom. So that I know if somebody is raising a hand, I can. Speak. Right. It's an infinity mirror. Okay, so those who have joined online, you can unmute yourself if you want to speak. Otherwise, I will be continuing. This is going to be a discussion rather than a monologue. I deliver everything and then you sit in here until the end and then you ask questions. It's not going to be like that. So feel free to stop me anytime and ask any question. We'll also make sure we are right on time. We are moving through the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is also called Jnana Yoga or Transcendental Knowledge. So before we enter into the chapter, we need to understand some terminologies. This will help you throughout the study of Bhagavad Gita, especially in this chapter. There are 2 words that are predominantly used in Bhagavad Gita, karma and jnana. So what does karma mean? Yes, please. You can speak in the microphone because somebody listening online can also hear.
Action pertaining to the development of material bodies.
Action pertaining to the development of material bodies. Very good. Anybody else? Okay. What does jnana mean? What is that?
I just don't want to answer everything.
What did you say?
Oh, I just don't want to answer everything.
Okay.
Okay. It's mental speculation as well as development of knowledge pertaining to the Supreme.
Okay. Mental speculation, development of knowledge toward the Supreme. Right. So, these 2 terms in general, as Mataji has mentioned, mean action. Karma means action. And in an extended sense, it is also reaction. For example, when you perform an activity, you get a reaction. Like I go to office and I work, I get salary. It's a reaction, correct? And similarly, something may happen in our life, and then suddenly we think, oh, it is my past karma. Because of my past karma, this is happening, correct? So in an extended sense, it is also including reaction. Action, reaction together. Gana means, the term alone means knowledge, but these two terms are also used sometimes in technical sense to refer to a particular yoga process, which is called karma yoga and jnana yoga. So karma yoga means performing activities to attain the supreme. What kind of activities? Not that anything and everything I like to do, but that which is prescribed for me. Prescribed by whom? By the Shastras, by the scriptures. Scripture says, if you are, for example, household life, if you are having a married life, you should follow certain kind of dharmic activities. If you are, for example, in your student life, you should perform certain kind of dharmic activities. So it has prescribed for each stage of life and each nature of your personality. It has prescribed some kind of dharma to be followed. And that dharma, if you follow it, that is called karma yoga. Okay. Jnana yoga means it's a next level of karma yoga. So karma yoga is first level, jnana yoga is second level. Second level where your aim is toward achieving liberation. More of your activities are happening internally rather than externally. For example, you would see sometimes sannyasis in India especially, they don't act in the society. They tend to seclude themselves. They study scriptures. They internally contemplate. They try to meditate. They discuss about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and in its different various aspects. So that is called Jnana Yoga. You have Karma Yoga, you have Jnana Yoga. But karma and jnana can also mean another thing. Karma, action. What do we perform in bhakti when we come to the temple? Bhakti yoga. We do activities, correct? We listen. Listening is an activity. We speak. Speaking is an activity. We speak about the Lord. We listen about the Lord. We sing kirtan is an activity. We dance in the arati. That is an activity. We take darshan of the Lord. That is an activity. Okay. So in that sense, you can call even bhakti yoga as karma yoga. All right. Then what is jnana yoga? Jnana is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are studying Bhagavad Gita. That is knowledge. Correct? So about the Supreme Lord, about myself, I as an Atma, about my connection with the Supreme Lord. That is also called Jnana Yoga. So you see multiple levels of interpretation. And Krishna, when he presents Bhagavad Gita, he discusses in multi-levels of meaning. So when God created this world, he doesn't just create a gross reality. He also creates something with subtle reality. Correct? So many, before 1900s, nobody knew how to fly an aeroplane. Right? Why? Or they didn't discover phone communication, mobile phone. Why? Because they didn't have the knowledge of the subtle reality, right? So what you see is not only the reality, what you do not see, that there is a reality behind it as well. So when Krishna, when he can create such a world with multi-layers of reality, similarly when he speaks, when God speaks, he speaks with multi-layers of meaning. And our Acharya's duty is to bring out that. So Prabhupada, that's why when he talks about throughout Bhagavad Gita, sometimes he takes Karma Yoga and then tries to show how in Krishna consciousness you can practice. Sometimes he shows that in Karma Yoga that you follow your prescribed duties. Similarly with the Jnana Yoga, how you are trying to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. and also his various other aspects like impersonal aspect. Try to understand the impersonal aspect of the Lord. That is also called Jnana Yoga. So these two terms, karma and jnana, variously used. So anybody would like to summarize what we discussed? Online also you can raise your hand. Yes, Satwad Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu, I noted down some things.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning you said that, karma and jnana can refer to like action and knowledge, and karma can also refer to the reaction we get when we perform some activities. So for example, like when some incident happens in our lives, we may say that it is because of some past karma. So it's the reaction of our activities. So that's one level of interpretation. Then the next level you said was, karma yoga can refer to the prescribed duties we perform as part of our dharma. Just like what students perform, they have to study, that's their prescribed duties. And like the office workers, they have to go to office, like that's part of their dharma. And similarly Jnana Yoga is more aiming towards liberation. And you give the example of the sannyasis, that they may not be involved in so much outside activities, but they study the Shastra and like they try to cultivate knowledge. And then you talked about another level, that when we come to the temple, the process of Bhakti Yoga that we do, like hearing, chanting, and dancing in kirtan, everything. So these are also activities. So they can also be called as Karma Yoga, although it's Bhakti Yoga. And similarly, Jnana Yoga can refer to developing the knowledge of soul, the super soul, like Krishna, and the relationship between soul and the super soul. Yes, Prabhu, that's all I have noted.
Yes, very nicely you have summarized it. So we have 3 levels of meaning. The first level is simple meaning. Karma means action, jnana means knowledge. The second level is a particular yoga process it is referring to. Karma means karma yoga, where you perform prescribed duties. Jnana means jnana yoga, where you are trying to achieve liberation through spiritual path. Third one is application of the 2 terms in bhakti. That is, karma means action in Krishna consciousness. Jnana means knowledge in Krishna consciousness. Okay, 3 levels of meaning. You try to keep it in your mind. Okay, so let's enter into Bhagavad Gita. We'll recite the verse, we'll read the translation, we'll discuss and move forward. We can all recite together. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Ahamavyayam Vivaswan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. Can someone read translation?
The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivashvan, and Vivashvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku.
Okay. So here, Krishna is trying to establish a parampara, how a knowledge should be received. It should not be received from anyone and everyone. It should be received from someone who is coming in a parampara. Parampara means a disciplic succession. Guru is instructing to his disciple. The disciple is further instructing to his disciple, and so on and so forth. So here the parampara is Krishna is talking to Vivaswan, and Vivaswan is talking to Manu, and then Manu is talking to Ikshvaku. So there was a parampara created like that. Always the beginning of the parampara is Krishna, because the knowledge has to come from God. From God, then it's passed down. Evam parampara praptam Imam Raja Rishayo Vidu Sakalene Hamagata Yogo Nashtaf Parantapa. Mataji, you can read translation.
This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost.
Okay. Have you heard the game of whispering down the lane? Huh? No? Chinese whispers. Okay. Thank you for, telling the official name. So Chinese whispers are whispering down the lane, where you make a series of people stand in a lane, and then you tell the message to the first person, pass it on and on and on and on and on. Then finally, when the person reveals how it comes out, usually amusing way, something completely different from what the original person intended, correct? So just a simple message passed through multiple persons can get lost. So how can we believe the message which is coming through generations after generations over thousands of periods? Anybody want to defend that? I'm challenging. Use the microphone.
It's regulated in a sense, like it's bona fide. Everyone who's in the disciplic succession has some sort of approval from the preceding authority.
Okay, the preceding authority is saying that this person has nicely understood the message, right? Very good. What else? Okay, so there are a couple of things to note down here. One, Prabhuji has summarized everything under approval. So one is, first you need to listen from a person who is coming in a parampara, or who is coming, authorized line. Not that anybody walking on the street coming and giving you knowledge. Number two, I should absorb the message. I should hear it again and again. I should practice it, and I should realize it. First I should hear it, I should practice it, I should realize it. If one of these things is missing, what I'm going to pass it to the next person is going to be a reduced version. If I don't hear properly, then I'm going to spread out something which is undesirable. If I don't practice it, what will happen? I don't even value that. Then all I'm passing to the next person is some kind of theoretical knowledge. Right? Same thing with the realization. If I don't realize, it is a process, it is describing a process. If I don't practice and realize the fruit, how can I pass that fruit to the next person? Okay. All these things have to be there. When these three things are nicely going, the message is going through the parampara. When one of these things is missing, what happens? What Krishna is describing here is the parampara will become broken. That is, the message gets lost. So here, when Krishna started a parampara, it has broken and then the message has disappeared. So when that happens, Krishna himself appears and then he starts another new parampara, which is what is happening here. Again, Prabhupada goes into an explanation in the purport saying that we cannot go on to buy Bhagavad Gita from the store and then start reading without understanding who is the author of Bhagavad Gita. Because when people are using a medium to communicate their message, they may have hidden agendas. Bhagavad Gita commentary written by a politician, he will have a political agenda. Bhagavad Gita written by an atheist, he will have an atheistic agenda. So the agenda should be very clear. What is your agenda? I want to pass down whatever Krishna is saying. not that I put my own ideas. So you need to see who is writing. Is that person practicing whatever he is saying? Is that person understanding? And then it's person realizing that message. Then only you have to take from that person. And whom he has heard. Is he simply hearing from TV and radio and then he is writing the message? Or is he having a proper guru in a parampara? Okay. So we have to look at that and then take the message. Okay. Going to the next verse. Sayevaya maya tedya yoga proktah puratanaha bhaktosi me sakacheti
Bhaktosi me sakhaseti
ragasyam hyetaduttamam.
rahasyam te itadvittamam.
Okay. Prabhu, you can read the translation.
That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science.
Okay. So Krishna is creating a new parampara here, putting Arjuna in front of him. So he is speaking this knowledge to Arjuna for two reasons. What are those? My friend and a devotee. So Arjuna is a friend. He has a relationship with God. And he is also a devotee. Right? Anybody who has a relationship with God should be devotee or not? Huh? Yes? Okay. You can be a villain to a hero. Is that a relation or not? It's a relation. So it should be related and you should also be a devotee. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
I have a
Krishna,
question
Prabhuji.
here.
Yes, Prabhu. Please tell your name and
Prabhu,
speak, because otherwise I have to look here.
Prabhu, Prabhu, this is Krishna here.
Hare
Krishna and Priyanka.
Hare Krishna,
So my
Prabhu.
question, Prabhuji, like whenever we talk about parampara, we always talk about four paramparas, four sampradayas. But as you said, like Bhagwan started new parampara here by talking Bhagavad Gita in front of Arjun. But we never hear of such parampara where a new parampara was started from Arjun or going down the lane.
Yes. So the question is, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. We don't see that parampara. If you look at the end of the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada lists out our parampara. There is no Arjuna there. Neither in other three sampradayas we see Arjuna nowhere there. So what is this parampara? So here, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna and is captured by whom? Vyasadeva. Sanjay, Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is writing. From him, we get Shukadeva. And then the parampara continues down the lane. Correct? So a guru can have multiple disciples. Not everybody needs to start their own parampara. One person or two person or 10 persons can start another parampara. You get what I am trying to say? We have one guru and then we have multiple disciples from that guru. And each individual can start a parampara. Basically, they pass on the message or they don't pass on the message. Based on that, it continues. So in those times, Arjuna, who belongs to a Kshatriya family, usually they don't teach. Those who teach, they belong to the Brahmana system, right? So they only teach, and because of that, Arjuna is not, creating his own sampradaya. Did that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Arjuna vacha aparam bhavato janma paranjanma vivasvataha kathametad vijaniyam tomadau proktavaniti. Satvat Prabhu.
Translation. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him?
Okay, here he is questioning God. You know, whatever you are saying doesn't make sense to me. Is that proper etiquette or not? Huh? No. Huh? Depends upon the intention. Could you elaborate? Please use mic because people are listening online. You have to turn on the mic, I guess.
Questioning someone with an intention to challenge someone's knowledge versus questioning someone out of curiosity.
Okay. So the intention, whether you are challenging or not, that matters. Krishna later will say, very, very nice answer. Krishna later will say that Pariprashnena sevaya. Pariprashna means thorough questioning. You should question. So when we come to temple, when we listen, we are not just sitting there to receive and then simply go on, right? We should question because that shows our inquisitive nature. We want to grow. We want to understand. Unless until we question, not with a attitude of challenging. We are not trying to defeat the other person, but we are genuinely trying to cut our doubts, clear our doubts, clarify our doubts, right? So that is what here Arjuna is also doing. Of course, in one level, Arjuna is an eternal servant of the Lord. He is always taking birth along with Krishna in every of his avatar, right? But here he is putting forward this question for our own understanding, for our own benefit. So here, again, this is showing that scripture is not something that which just instructs you and then blindly expects you to follow. It puts a dialogue. Bhagavatam is a dialogue. Dialogue means two persons are interacting. Why two persons has to interact? One person is questioning, one person is answering. Questioning, answering. And then when the answer comes, then there is further more questioning. So this is the original podcast. So, oldest podcast. So it's a discussion. It is not something that, it says to you and then you blindly go on to follow. So there is a discussion going on. So here Arjuna is putting forward that question that, Krishna, I saw that you are born along with me, but then you are saying that you have instructed it to Vivaswan, who is very, very, very senior to you, and then you are saying that the message has disappeared some time back. How I am to understand?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Naveen. One question here. Is it possible also Arjuna as a friend is taking like a rights, like on asking this to a friend?
Yes. So is it like a friendly conversation two persons are having, that is just simply in friendly conversation, you challenge, you debate, you have an intention to defeat also the other person, correct? But Krishna in second chapter, what did he say? Sorry, Arjuna in second chapter, what did he say? I am your disciple. I accept you as my guru, right? So there he changed the relationship. He was a friend before that. And that's why when Krishna spoke, look at the people in front of you. He asked, Krishna asked Arjuna to fight. But then he gave so many reasons to say, Krishna, actually you are wrong. What we are trying to do is wrong. We should not be doing that. That's a friendly dealings. And then after some time, he thought about it. He was very confused. Okay, I cannot get out of it. So he's taking a disciple role. Disciple role means there is no arguing for the sake of defeating, or I'm not trying to instruct my friend. Rather, I'm trying to receive the knowledge. Okay. Did that help, Naveen Prabhu?
Yeah, Thakur. Yeah, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tavacharjuna Tanyaham veda sarvani Natvam vetha parantapa. Mataji, you can read the translation.
The personality of Godhead said, Many, many births, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. So, subduer of the enemy.
Okay. So here Krishna is differentiating between God and a living entity. God knows birth after birth, everything that happens, every nook and corner of the world. He directly knows what's going on. Not like a manager who just knows from his immediate subordinate, correct? You need to update your manager constantly, otherwise he won't even know what you are doing. He may think that you are actually deviating from your project deadline. So you have to constantly update. But to Krishna is not like that. He's constantly himself knows everything. He's updated all the time. He knows every nook and corner, what is happening, what is going in our deeper mind. So that is the distinction. Again, many, many births I have passed. I can remember all of them, but the living entity cannot. That is the distinction made here. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atma mayaya. Mataji, you can read. We'll just go in circles.
Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form.
Okay, here is a contradiction. Although I am unborn, I am taking birth. Right? So here Krishna is showing his contradictory nature. God is not what we think. So in this world, for example, if I am sitting here, I am not sitting there. If I come to you and tell I am sitting here, I am sitting there, there is a contradiction. That is a paradox, you can call, which is like unresolvable. Two logical arguments, you are not able to resolve it. But in Krishna, he is not like that. Paradox exists in him. Contradiction exists in him. How come? How is that? That is why it's achintya, beyond our thinking capacity or understanding capacity. That is God. So in Isha Upanishad, I don't know, you have completed Isha Upanishad, some of you have completed Isha Upanishad. So in Isha Upanishad, the contradictory nature is very clearly explained. He is far away, he is near, and he walks and he does not walk. And he is everywhere and he is nowhere. He is inside the material world, yet he is outside of the material world. Right? So these are the contradictory nature. God is like that. So we should understand Krishna when we are. So he is taking birth as Krishna, but then he is also unborn. He is not taking birth. Okay. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. You could read the translation.
Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion at that time, I descend myself.
Okay, this is very clear that whenever the religious practice is declining, that is dharma is declining too much, that it requires God's intervention, he appears at that point. It's a famous verse. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium.
Okay, so here Krishna explicitly calls out some of the reasons why he is appearing. Okay, 3 reasons. One is to deliver the pious or to protect the pious people. I mean, here it is pious word is used. In Sanskrit, some of you may be able to understand it is sadhu. Sadhu, what we call the devotees basically. Dushkrutam. Dushkruta means the miscreants or the demons, right? As well as to establish dharma, the principles of religion. For 3 purposes he is appearing. Now the question will come. So does God have to appear in this material world to destroy demons? No. How else can he destroy demons? Speak in the microphone.
Through his empowered associates.
Through his empowered associates. Okay. How else? So he is in everyone's heart. He is controlling our breath. Can he stop one of our breath just by thinking? Right? Right? He is that much powerful. He can just choke somebody's heart, the demon's heart. The demons can easily be killed. Does he have to appear? No. Then why does he appear? Because mainly for the sadhus. So to protect the sadhus doesn't mean he's only protecting from the demons. To protect the sadhus also mean that he is coming to the devotees who are longing for him. The protection from the separation. So as we practice Bhakti Yoga, the more and more we advance. Prabhupada also lists out the stages of Bhakti Yoga. So the more and more we advance, at one stage we will be seeing God face to face. So where does that happen? The first thing happens to this in this world. So we participate in the Leelas of Krishna. So that is why Krishna comes to this world again and again to give his association to his devotees, who are advanced devotees, to give to, and then to spread the message, to spread the knowledge of his pastimes throughout the world, so that everybody can hear and relish it after he disappears. So how many years back Krishna appeared? 5,000 years back. Still we are talking about Krishna and the message he has given and the pastimes he has performed, right? So for this discussion to happen, Krishna appears, so that we, as well as those who appeared during the time of Krishna, can take association of Krishna. So that is the main reason. Of course, killing demons is another byproduct, you can say. Side thing, side reason. That's not the main reason is to protect the devotees. Okay. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Satwat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
So this is the transcendental nature of the Lord, that he is beyond the living entity's nature. He is transcendental. He is not within the material world. He is not controlled by material nature. And if we correctly understand it, so the word used is tattvataha. Tattvataha means, Prabhupada translates that in reality, in truth. So how do we understand in reality? By having faith in the Shastra. If we don't believe in the Shastra, we cannot get knowledge. So who is giving the knowledge? Bhagavad Gita, Shastra, the scripture is giving. Bhagavatam, the scripture is giving. So the more we have Shraddha, the faith on these words of the scriptures, the more we are understanding Krishna in reality. The more we understand Krishna in reality, the more we have opportunity to return to Him. Vitaraga bhayakrodha manmaya mamupashita bhagavo jnana tapasa putamad bhavamagata.
Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me.
So he gives an example that don't think that this is an impossible goal to attain. In the past also people have attained me. So it is possible. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tangs tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushyav partha sarvasah.
As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha.
Okay, so Prabhupada goes into little lengthier explanation in the purport. So this is also a very famous verse, try to memorize this. E yathamam, at least the first two lines, E yathamam prapatyante tangs tathaiva bhajamyaham. As you approach me, I reward you accordingly. So as you approach Krishna, so there are multiple meanings for this. As you approach, I just think of Krishna maybe 10 minutes in a day. Krishna also rewards you accordingly, according to your dedication and devotion. So for the beginners, he gives less of his association. The more and more you seek for his association, the more and more he gives his association. So that's why you see the elevated devotees have more realization. Now, that is one thing. Second thing is, if you approach God as impersonal, He appears impersonal to you. If you approach God as personal, He appears personal to you. If you approach demigods, He gives reward through the demigods to you. So all the paths, all the religious paths, He is the person who is giving the results, the rewards for all the paths. So that's what he says. Mama vartamanu vartante manushaga partha sarvasaha. Everyone follows my path in all respects. So some people are aiming for the highest realization, that is personal realization. Some people lower than that, impersonal realization. Some people want to still absorb in the material world by approaching the devatas, and Krishna rewards them accordingly. So as you approach the God, so He rewards. Kangshanta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataah shipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja.
Men in this world desire success and fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigod. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world.
Okay, so Prabhupada quoted one verse in previous purport, which is Akama sarva kama moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. So this is from Bhagavatam, where it says, if you do not have any desire, approach Krishna. If you have all the desires, approach Krishna. If you have desire for mukti, liberation, approach Krishna. Anything and everything, you approach Krishna through Bhakti Yoga. Correct? But then Krishna in the next next verse, he says, some people approach the demigods. So if everything can be gotten from Krishna, why would some people go to demigods?
They give quick
Results. Yes. Why do they give quick results? Why Krishna delays it?
because Krishna has this gives a discretion whether it's beneficial for you or not. So he only gives something that will push you in the right direction and towards him.
So Krishna discriminates. So Krishna is like your parents. They know for the kids, what is beneficial. And the demigods are like the grandparents. They just give for immediate gratification, right? I mean, just a crude example. Don't think that Krishna came from demigods. But Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. Prabhuji.
According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable.
Okay. So in the previous verse, Krishna said, some people have desires and they want to achieve it quickly. Right? So Krishna has created a system, that is a Chaturvarna system. That is four divisions of society: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. According to the nature, according to your desire, you get your association and you get your dharma and then you follow through it. So nowadays in India, there is a debate happening around Varnashrama system and Sanatana Dharma. This should be destroyed, this should be eradicated. But here Krishna says, I created that system. So usually when we say Varnashrama system, people associate with the caste system. So caste discrimination is there. So the higher caste people are not Brahman. So the higher caste, within a particular caste, they have high and low also. It gets very complicated. So in the caste system, the higher people, they take advantage of the lower people. That's what the problem, led to this revolution. And then that revolution again led to further revolution and so on and so forth. But when Krishna created a system that is not for discriminatory purpose, that is for a group. Even today, modern society, we have that group. Brahmanas are those who are intellectual. Intellectual body, think tanks we have, right? And then we have Kshatriyas, the administrators. There is a group of people who are administrators. And then the business people who will always be thinking, how can I make money? How can I take this one and then do that one so that, money will come to me? And the fourth is Shudras. I just want to work for somebody. I don't want to think about anything else. That is the Shudra. We have these four classifications. Only that we don't put Krishna in the center. So similarly, Krishna there says in the Chaturvarna system, you recognize which nature you belong and you be with your own group so that you can nicely practice it. It is not for denying the basic human rights. It's not for that. Or it's not for discriminating, saying that the higher caste take advantage of the lower caste. It is for understanding your nature and following the dharma accordingly. So we should not confuse with the corrupted caste system with the original Chaturvarna system that was created by Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Shyam Chandra Das.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhu, Shyam Chandra Prabhu.
So this nature can be changed, Prabhuji, during the course of our being in the Krishna consciousness, or could you please elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes. So you can, in the Bhakti Yoga process, you can transcend your nature. Though your nature may be, let's say, my nature is Kshatriya nature. And then by practicing Bhakti Yoga, I can become detached from this body and mind. And then I can perform anything and everything that is required for the service of Krishna. That is possible by Bhakti Yoga. However, in the regular Varnashrama system, it usually takes multiple births for one person to rise through the different levels of the Varnashrama system. So for example, from Vaishya to become Kshatriya, it may take multiple births, continue that dharma, and then you slowly graduate to Kshatriya. And then from there you perform for multiple births and then slowly graduate to a Brahmana. So the more and more you become sattvic, the more and more you become, the higher levels of the Varnashrama system. The more and more you are tamasic, ignorance, the more and more you are, associating with the lower modes, then you will get that kind of birth and nature accordingly. Usually in Varnashrama system, it is difficult within a birth, but in case of Bhakti Yoga, it is possible. But again, we have seen examples of, people changing their nature. For example, we have Vishwamitra. He was previously a king. He was a proper administrator. Then within the same life, he actually became a rishi, or a Brahmanical, tendency he has developed it. So it is possible, usually exceptional cases, but in case of Krishna consciousness Bhakti Yoga, you can transcend. We don't need to even, elevate ourselves in 3 modes. We transcend completely all the modes.
Thank you so much, bro. Wonderful.
Hare Krishna. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spriga iti mam yo bhijanati karma bhirna sabhadyate. Who's supposed to read?
Translation: There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work.
Okay. So Krishna is only talking about living entities. They have different desire and different nature, but we should not think that Krishna also gets affected. But say Krishna is fighting Kshatriya, he was born in a Kshatriya family, and he was sometimes performing Vaishya work also, like cow herding and agriculture. So should we consider him as a Vaishya and Kshatriya? No, here he says, these modes does not affect me. None of this work affect me. So you should understand me, I am beyond all these things. So he performs it as a pastime when he appears in this world.
Prabhu, I have one question here. This is Shweta.
Hare Krishna, Shweta Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Let's say a person is born in a Brahmin family, but in this material world, everyone is working for someone. Everyone is working for a company, right? And that is considered still a Shudra. So is that considered a Brahmin still, or how does Krishna view this?
Okay. So I did not fully clearly get your question. Probably there is a problem with the communication. But let me repeat it, see if that is what you are trying to say. So I am born in a particular family, and then because of the family tendency, I am choosing a particular job or particular type of work that I am doing. Usually, for example, usually in modern days, right? You study and then you get a job and you work for someone. So is that considered a Shudra work, or is it considered something else? Correct?
Yeah, that's right. And also if you are doing your Brahminical duties, is that considered a Brahmin or a Shudra still?
What do you mean by Brahminical duties?
Doing Sandhyavandanam and doing all the prescribed duties that is there, preaching whenever you have time.
Yes, okay.
the one is a spiritual path, you're doing this on spiritual, but on the material level, you still have to pay your bills. So you're still a Shudra at that point because you're working for someone else.
Yes,
So
okay.
what is the, yeah.
So there is two factor to it that we need to remember, that when we are taking birth in a particular family, doesn't mean we will automatically become that particular varna. For example, if I am a son of a Brahmana, doesn't mean I am a Brahmana by birth. There has to be a samskara conducted, and the person should also have that particular nature. Then only he is a Brahmana. If he is not, then he will not be considered as a Brahmana. He may be called as a Brahma Bandhu or a friend of or fallen friend of a Brahmana, but he is not by birth. You cannot claim that. By nature, you can claim. What is your nature? According to the nature, you do that particular work. Two things, work as well as nature. So Krishna says in that verse, what he says? Guna, karma. Guna is the nature, karma is the work. Both matters. Both describes which particular varna you are doing. Again, in the modern days, what we are seeing is not a pure varnashrama dharma system where everybody is purely categorized as, okay, this is a particular fully intellectual person and he is following intellectual dharma or brahmanical dharma. This person is a proper kshatriya, is following proper kshatriya dharma. That is not the case. Most of the time it's all mixed. When you join a company, you are first initially asked to work as they give you the task, right? Especially in a software company. As you grow, then you start leading other person, which is like a kshatriya kind of a work. Then as you grow, then you have to think about money, how to increase the value of the money. As you become like a VP, you're not just thinking about the operation part, you're also thinking about the business part, how to increase the profit for the whole business. Now, initially you started like a Shudra, then you are becoming a Kshatriya, and then you are becoming a Vaishya. Then throughout that, you need to maintain your Brahmanical attitude. You have to be intellectually very good also. See that? How it's all confused, right? So it's very difficult in modern days. This environment is not supporting. That is why we are not following pure Varnashram Dharma. What we are trying to follow is Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, it doesn't matter what Varna you belong, what work you do, what karma you perform. You can do anything which is dharmic, which we are not talking about adharmic thing. You can perform Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra work, but still worship Krishna, you will be called Vaishnava. You won't be called Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya and Shudra. Again, some of the works that is going along with our nature helps our material life. For example, if I can identify myself as I'm more a Brahmanical person, then I can tend to try to find a job that, or find a kind of work that suits my nature, so that I don't have a lot of problems in my material life, so that I can focus on Krishna, so that I can practice bhakti. That we need to figure it out. Number two, because the people who are in the lower rungs of the society, they don't have a lot of influence on the society, it is also better to choose something little bit higher. For example, if I because especially when we want to spread the message out in the society, if we have capabilities and qualities, it's better to choose something higher, higher position in the society, so that we can influence the people in the world. Again, these are all just practical instructions. So see what works for you. That makes you focus on Krishna consciousness. That is the most important aspect. It's a very long answer, Mataji. I don't know whether I have answered your question or not.
Yes, Prabhu, definitely. It answers some of my questions. Yeah, it definitely answered my question.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll have to talk more about what kind of duties that we can do. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So in the interest of time, let's read the translation instead of just the verse. We have so many verses to cover. I will read if it is fine for you. Okay, so we completed this. Okay, now we have to continue from 15th verse. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. So here Krishna is talking about what is karma, what is akarma, because it's very difficult to know. So here when he says karma and akarma, karma means that which gives you reaction. Akarma means that which doesn't give you reaction. Why we need to perform that which doesn't give us reaction?
To not be bound by material nature.
To not be bound by the material world. So it is not as easy as we think. Oh, I don't perform any activity, I don't get any reaction. Correct? It is not as easy as you think. That's why Krishna says, even the intelligent people are confused about it. You know, what is action and what is inaction. So Krishna will explain. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, what inaction is. So he has expanded. Here he says, karma, vikarma, akarma. So karma means what is prescribed action. Akarma means that action which doesn't give reaction. Vikarma means adharmic activity. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. So Krishna says inaction in action, action in inaction. Anybody would like to explain what does that mean? Yes, Satvat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, the way I have understood from devotees is that when we were sitting idly, like not performing any activity physically, but still the mind is active and making so many plans. So like there is some kind of action happening even in inaction, and he may get the reaction for it in some form or other. Whereas when we are performing Bhakti Yoga, like externally it seems like there is activity being performed, but it's inaction, because like we are acting on behalf of Krishna. We are not acting on our own self-interest. So that's inaction in action.
Very nice. So basically, if you are performing an activity that doesn't give you any reaction, then that is inaction. Even though it is an action, it is an inaction. So even though it's a karma, it is actually an akarma. We perform Bhakti Yoga, as Prabhuji said, so we don't get any reaction. So even though it is karma, it is also called akarma. Inaction, inaction. The opposite is also true. For example, if I am the ruler of a country and people are rioting and then killing each other, and I simply sit quiet, that is inaction, right? But there is an action involved in it. I get reaction for it, for not acting it out. I need to act and stop. So that is action in inaction. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. So basically, when you are performing an activity that does not have any desire for sense gratification or my own self-enjoyment, then that is called inaction. When we are performing Bhakti Yoga, for example, we don't have desire to satisfy our senses. We have desire to satisfy Krishna's senses. That is called inaction. So the intention matters. If the intention is to enjoy, then the activity will create reaction. If the intention is to satisfy this Lord, then we don't get reaction for it. That is what Krishna says here. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. So Krishna is talking about the person who is performing action but doesn't get any reactions. Such a man of understanding acts with such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence, perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. He who is satisfied with the gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing action. So these are all higher stages. In the beginning stage, we may not be able to do this. Okay, I will just do bhakti to Krishna, and then whatever comes on its own accord, I will survive on that. It will be very difficult for the beginner sadhakas to do that. Why? We do not have that much faith and purity of heart. So as we grow in that bhakti yoga, we will be able to come to a stage where we will be fully surrendered to Krishna. So Krishna is talking about a person who is mature in his spiritual realization. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of the material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. So when all of your activities are completely performed for the Supreme Lord, then you have liberated from this world, even though you will be existing in this world. There is a famous verse. Let's recite together. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. Anybody can read through the translation.
A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature.
Okay, so here if you see, the word Brahma is repeated again and again. Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havir, Brahma Agnau, Brahma Nahutam, Brahma Evatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. So this one little bit we will look into the details here. Brahma Arpanam. So when you are acting in Krishna consciousness, whatever you are doing for Krishna, that is an offering to Krishna. That a very activity itself is spiritual. I don't need to separately offer that activity. For example, when I chant Hare Krishna mantra in the morning, 16 rounds, I don't need to say, okay, I have to offer this activity to Krishna. No, that very act itself is Brahman. Brahman means spiritual. What I am doing when you are performing in yajna, it's compared with an yajna kunda here. So when you are performing in yajna, you have an yajna kunda. So you have the fire that is going on. Then in the fire, what do? You put barley or some other offerings, fruits into the fire, and you also put havi, the ghee, into the fire, and you use a spoon, ladle to put that inside the fire, correct? So there are so many elements involved in it. One is the fire, one is the offering, one is the spoon used to put it, one is the person who is doing that, right? So here it says all of these things, all of the fire, the offering, the person, the instrument, all are Brahman, all are spiritual. All are spiritual. It is not only describing the Yajna Kunda, it is describing the spiritual path. So when you are performing for Krishna, Krishna is spiritual, the devotee is spiritual, the devotee's service to the Lord is spiritual, that is the offering. Whatever tools used in the service of the Lord, that is also spiritual. So when everything is spiritual, how can something material be there? That is what the sum and substance of this verse. Maybe you can read. The translation.
Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them, and some offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman.
Okay. So here Krishna, first he mentioned about the devotees. Now he is mentioning about different types of people. Some people worship demigods. Some people worship the impersonal nature of the God. In this way, they are following their own spiritual paths.
Some, the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control, and others, the regulated householders, sacrifice the object of the senses in the fire of the senses.
Okay. So here are two categories of people are mentioned. One is the brahmacharis and the other one is the householder or the grihasthas. Right? So the brahmacharis, what is their main duty? Listening from the guru. They go to the gurukul and then they listen completely. Right? And why do they listen? To listen to practice mental control, the mind control, the sense control. That is what they try to perform. So that is their yajna. It's connected with the yajna process. And then for the householders, even though you will be situated in your own life, householder means there is some enjoyment is there. I earn money, I have some comfort, I have good dresses, I have a car to go, I can take care of my kids, I have a relationship, all these things are there. But even though you are engaged with them, you are internally detached from them. So that is what the householders should do. Internally, not externally. Internally, they should detach themselves. Detach means you don't seek enjoyment, rather you do your duty. That is what the yajna for householders. The yajna for brahmacharis is they hear for mental control. Satat Prabhu.
Translation. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind.
Again, Krishna is using the metaphor of yajna and he is talking about different paths of spirituality. So we will, summary study we will do of these verses. Mataji.
Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions and other by performing severe austerities, by practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge.
Yeah. So again, different spiritual paths, just to name here. Some follows vratas. So you would see some people following, Amavasya Vrata, Paurnami Vrata, and Chaturmasya Vrata, all these different vratas. And some people sacrifice their possessions. That is charity. You build hospitals, you give to poor people, you feed the poor people. These are a different process. And then some people do severe austerities, taking up and then waking up and then taking bath in the winter month, very cold water. That's an austerity some people perform. Some people perform yoga process, Ashtanga yoga, and some people perform the study of Vedic scriptures. So these are different paths. Mataji.
Still others who are...
Oh, you read. Okay, you understood.
Still others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Others, curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice.
Yeah. So this is pranayama first, these first few lines are talking about the pranayama. In pranayama, you breathe in long time, hold the breath, and then you breathe out for a long time. That is what is mentioned here. Porakare Chakandu Kumbhaka. And then others follow dietary restriction. They eat once a day or lesser than that. They follow so many dietary restriction. For all of these people are trying to achieve spiritual destination, but they have various paths. For example, if I have to go to a top floor of a building, I can go by taking an elevator, or I can go by staircase, or I can land in my helicopter on the top of the floor, right? So there are different ways to achieve that destination, and different speed of the realization is also there.
All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere.
So all of these people are trying to reach the destination, but at different speed and different paths they are taking. Sometimes they get intermediary benefits. That's what Krishna says here, tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices. For example, if you are taking a staircase of a 100-floor building, what is the side benefit you get? Exercise, right? You become a little bit of strength, you gain bodily strength. If you take an elevator, you quickly achieve the destination, but you are not aiming for bodily strength here. Right? So similarly, through some paths, like for example, especially if you follow Ashtanga Yoga path, you may get siddhis. You can control people. You can control matter in the subject, material world. But these are intermediary results. If we get caught there, then we won't reach the destination. So this is one of the smallest verses of Bhagavad Gita. Nayam lokosti avajñasya ayajñasya. Nayam lokosti ayajñasya Kotonya kurusattama. Let's try one more time. Nayam lokosti ayajñasya Kotonya kurusattama. Okay.
O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or live in this life. What then of the next?
Yes. So this is, the human life is actually a loophole to exit the matrix. So this whole material world is like a prison. You need a loophole to exit the prison. The human birth is the junction where I have got this opportunity. You can upgrade yourself or you can downgrade yourself. From other births, there is only upgrade. For example, if I am an animal, naturally I will evolve into next birth higher and higher and higher. But at human destination, when I reach the stage of human life, there I can decide, should I go higher or should I go downgrade myself? So this is like an exit point for the prison. I can exit out of the material world, the prison, or I can continue to stay inside and go downwards. So you should take up the spiritual path, one or the other. But the best is Krishna consciousness, as Krishna himself points out. But at least some spiritual practice should be there. Not that I will simply enjoy the material world, I will simply spend time here. That is what Krishna says. If you do not have sacrifice, you cannot live happily here. What to speak of next? Right? In this life also, I cannot happily live. Just trying to try to enjoy material world, it's so difficult. Next verse.
All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated.
Okay. Next verse.
O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all the sacrifices of world culminate in transcendental knowledge.
Now we are going back to the initial definition. We are talking about the Karma Yoga and the Jnana Yoga. So Krishna is giving a grading that Jnana Yoga is better than Karma Yoga. That is, if you take a ladder, for example, the Karma Yoga are the initial steps, the Jnana Yoga are the higher steps of the ladder. So the higher steps of the ladder is obviously better than the lower steps of the ladder. That is what Krishna is establishing, that gradation. Well, this is a famous verse. Let's recite together. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevayam upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Translation.
Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth.
Okay. So, three things you need when you have to learn the spiritual knowledge from one person who is elevated than you. Three things Krishna says. Pranipat, Pariprashna, Seva. Pranipat. Path means falling down. Nipat means further falling down. Pranipat means further falling down. So you are falling down flat in front of Guru. That's why when we come to temple, we offer respects in front of Prabhupada. You have to fall like a rod. You take a rod or a stick, just drop it, just falls up. There is no like bending anywhere. So you fall fully and then you offer obeisances. So what does it here mean? That I need to have humility toward the Guru. Without humility, you cannot learn even the material knowledge also. Try to go and show off to a teacher, you will not be very interested in teaching to you. So we need to have humility. Next, pariprashna, thorough questioning should be there. Without questioning, without inquisitiveness, Guru is not going to give you higher and deeper knowledge. The more you ask question, the more he answers. Third thing, seva. Seva is gratitude. Out of gratitude for the knowledge he is giving, I do some service. So you have humility, gratitude, inquisitiveness. All these three are essential to get the knowledge. And the knowledge should come from the person who has realization. Tattvadarshi. He has realization of the truth. Sometimes the question will come that, I'm not able to meet my Guru. So how can I get the proper knowledge? How can I go and serve him, right? So this is not a new thing. Even during Prabhupada's time, this was also the case. Prabhupada had around, 6,000 or 7,000 disciples, maybe 10,000. I don't have the official number. But not all of them were able to meet. So sometimes, I think at one point somebody asked Prabhupada, so we are not able to, are you able to teach to each one of your student? So Prabhupada said, I don't need to. For example, if somebody is studying kindergarten, a PhD scholar doesn't need to come and teach ABCD. A 6th grader, 5th grader can teach ABCD. You understand? When you go higher and higher in your studies, you need a person who has higher and higher realization, higher and higher knowledge. A PhD scholar or a professor will teach to PhD students. The PhD student can actually teach to the college, the undergrads. And the undergrad can teach to 10th grader or 12th grader. Similarly, for a kindergarten, 6th grader is enough to teach. So you have through various people, that's why you have mentors and you have, Shiksha Gurus, different Shiksha Gurus. All these people are there to help you. You don't need to always have contact with the Tattvadarshi. So you can have intermediate people as well. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. So Krishna is glorifying transcendental knowledge or the Jnana Yoga here, but this is very much applicable to Krishna consciousness. So you don't need to be the purest of the pure to practice Bhakti Yoga. Whatever stage you are in, try to do service to Krishna. Automatically that will purify you. We don't need to follow a separate path. Just serving the Lord and trying to understand the knowledge, understand about God. What is his activity? What does he do? What is my relationship with him? How does he perform various activities? Just trying to understand and then follow that path. We will be able to cross over this material world.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
This is sort of, I have a question on this.
Yes.
Can you scroll back now?
Up, okay.
Up. Prabhuji, can you just elaborate on a little bit more on when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge?
Yes.
Like given, like it is said that just this thing is needed and you'll be able to cross the. If I understand correctly, does it mean like following the regulative principles then daily sadhana? Does it like
does it consider the boat of transcendental knowledge? Is that your question?
Yes.
So Krishna specifically speaks about Bhakti Yoga in a later chapter. Apichet duracharo vajate imam ananya bhak. So even if you are a fall down, same thing, apichet, asi papebhyaha. There it is durachara, here it is papebhya. So here he is especially glorifying Jnana Yoga. But as I said, you can take it for Bhakti Yoga as well, because this is more applicable to Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, as Saurabh Prabhu was explaining, means you are practicing your regular sadhana and scriptural study about Bhakti scriptural study. We are not talking about studying Ashtanga Yoga works. We are talking about Bhakti scriptures. So Bhakti scriptures as well as daily sadhana, that you can consider as a port of transcendental knowledge also, because it is a knowledge about the Supreme Lord. That is fine, but Krishna here especially talks about the Jnana Yoga, Jnana Plavena. Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Sure, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, thank you.
Who else? Translation.
As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities.
Translation. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time.
Okay. So, here, it takes time, any process if you take. For example, if I want to become a doctor, it takes time. If I want to mature in bhakti, it takes time. So over a due course, I practice and I mature and then I achieve the fruit. That is the essence that Krishna is speaking here. Kalena, so in due course of time, you will attain the mature fruit. Okay, we will recite the verse also. Shraddhaval labhate jnanam. Shraddhaval labhate jnanam. Tatparas sayyatendriyah. Jnanam labdva param shantim.
Dvaparam Santim
achirena digacchati.
Achirena Dhigachati. A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace.
Okay, so in Krishna in previous verse he says it takes time to achieve. Now he says quickly achieve. Which one is true?
Wouldn't both be true, just in varying degrees, depending on, as he said earlier, however much you give to me, I'll give back. So if you're giving 15 minutes versus if you're giving your whole life, one will happen a lot faster than the other.
I didn't fully get it. Could you repeat that?
Krishna earlier had said that to whatever degree someone surrenders unto me, I reward them accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be quickly for somebody who is going to what this passage is talking about versus simply in a matter of time. If you just keep going with bhakti, even if you can only give 15 minutes a day, you will get there eventually, but it might not be fast.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you are depending on your dedication. How much you are dedicating, that much, time it will take. Very good. Nice explanation. Yeah. So that's one very good explanation, that depending on your dedication, just like we have the example of Katwanga Maharaja. Katwanga Maharaja dedicated he had one moment of life remaining, one muhurta of life remaining. So he dedicated himself completely to the Lord. He achieved perfection. So similarly, we can also do that, provided we have that much dedication and surrender. But if your surrender and dedication is slow, we will achieve the result slowly. That is one. Second thing is, we have multiple births. So how many births we are here in this material world? Millions. Okay. So I would take that millions as just a number, undefined number. Correct? When you are saying millions, doesn't mean exactly 5 million or 10 million. You are just quoting a number to say that it is huge number of births we are here. Correct? So we are here for a very, 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 very long time. We cannot even count how many births we are here. Right? So, comparing that, if it takes one lifetime to achieve, is that quick or slow? It's very, very quick. It's just a matter of like flash moment in the whole experience. Right? But within a lifetime, if you take, it's a long process. So that is why it's quick as well as it is slow. Agyascha shraddadhanascha Sanshayatma vinashyati Nayam lokosti na paro na sukham sanshayatmanaha.
But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next.
So this here Krishna again reinforcing that one needs to have Shraddha. Shraddha means faith in the scriptures. If we do not have faith in the scriptures, we cannot achieve the final destination. Why? Because scripture is the source for everything. Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam gives us the knowledge about who is God, who is a guru, how can you identify a guru, and what is the process you can follow. Everything is given in the scripture. If you don't even have faith in the scripture, we can never achieve the result that is promised in the scripture. So the faith is very, very important here in the revealed scriptures. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna sanshayam atmavantanna karmani Nibadnanti Dhananjaya.
One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus, he is not bound by the reactions of work, O conqueror of riches.
So Krishna is concluding here that if we perfectly act in Krishna consciousness with the knowledge that he is the supreme, that I am acting for his benefits or not benefits, I am acting for his gratification to please the Supreme Lord, then none of the reactionary work reaches, right? There is no karma for that. Tasmadajnana sambhutam hritsam jnanasinatmanaha Chitvainam Sanshayam Yogam Atishtottishta Bharata. You are supposed to read.
Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight.
How do we destroy the doubt?
Sword of knowledge.
By knowledge. I don't know something, I know something. Then there is no more doubt, correct? So this is why the pariprashna becomes very important, that we ask questions from different angles. Whatever our confusion we have, we need to clear those confusions, because those confusions and doubt will act as hurdles in our bhakti yoga. We will not be able to surrender fully to the Lord, one, because of our own desire in the heart for material enjoyment. Second thing, we have doubts to progress further. So the doubt should be the doubt should be cut out by us by asking thorough questions about scriptures, transcendental scriptures, and the desire for material things will be slowly eradicated by the process of bhakti yoga. So Krishna says that you use the weapon of knowledge and you clear out the ignorance that is created by doubts. So we'll stop here. Any questions, comments? Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So in the beginning of class, you were talking about the process of parampara, and you explained that one has to absorb the knowledge here again and again, apply it, and then one can start the parampara. So my question is what should one do if one has is it okay to speak or propagate the knowledge if one has not attained the perfection yet? Because even partial knowledge can help, right? Partial knowledge of being vegetarian or avoiding gambling, all of that, it might still help people. So that's my question. Is it okay to propagate partial knowledge, or should we just wait till we are completed the perfection of our life?
Yeah, thank you. So the question is until and I become a PhD professor, I shouldn't be teaching to anyone else. Or can I teach before that? So it's a simple answer. So you can teach, for example, a second grader can teach to kindergarten, correct? Whatever the knowledge the person has gained. Similarly, a 10th grader can teach to a 6th grader. And undergrad can teach to a 10th grader. So in this way, you can teach whatever you know for sure. Not that I will concoct something, but whatever I know for sure, that is coming from the scripture and the parampara, whatever I have realized it, right? The other part you were mentioning about vegetarianism, so it is good to have people in the mode of sattva, that is the mode of goodness, to bring the people to the mode of goodness. So in that aspect it is fine, but it does not give bhakti, it does not give ultimate liberation. Just by me being vegetarian throughout my life, I may not get out of this material world. I will still continue to be in the material world, right? So it is good to bring them to the mode of goodness because that supports Bhakti Yoga. But we also give some the knowledge of Bhakti so that we give them ultimate benefit, at least an opportunity for an ultimate benefit. Did that help?
Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
So this is Saurabh Prabhu again. I have another question. Can I ask?
You have a question, Saurabh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Please.
Yes, Prabhu. This is from verse 4.7. Yada yada idam. Sorry.
4th chapter, 7th verse.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yes, so Prabhu here, Krishna says like whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice and predominant rise of a religion, I descend myself.
Yes.
So last time, like Krishna appeared in Dwapar 5,000 years ago.
Yes.
And in Kali Yuga, we say this all the time, right? Everywhere. Like definitely it is, I'm assuming it is much worse than the age of when Krishna appeared.
Yeah.
Right. So how do we understand this first, Prabhu?
Yeah. If Krishna can appear in Dwapara Yuga, then Kali Yuga definitely needs Krishna, correct? So why he is not appearing in Kali Yuga? Very good question. So Kali Yuga is meant to degrade. Because Krishna gives the chance to degraded people also to appear in this world. If he just comes and destroys all these degraded people, when will degraded people get a chance to live? Then you will say, we need some space to breathe. So Kali Yuga is their opportunity. But in other yugas, if there is the decline of religion, then Krishna appears himself to destroy it. And again, even in Kali Yuga also we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descends in once in a lifetime, once in a day of Brahma. But in other Kali Yugas, there is an empowered incarnation, which is called Saktyavesh Avatar. So that comes and spreads knowledge about holy names, Kirtan, Sankirtana. So in Kali Yuga, the main way to destroy a dharmic activity is by performing Bhakti Yoga. Not by destroying the demons, but by loudly chanting the holy names of the Lord. So that is a way to destroy the demoniac thoughts. That is what we are doing. 500 years back, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared. Krishna has appeared 5,000 years back, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared 500 years back. But Kali Yuga is going to go, in a degraded mode. But at least, as Prabhupada mentions, for the next 10,000 years, that is going to be a golden time for Krishna consciousness to survive and spread and propagate nicely. So that time is a golden period beyond which it will be given fully a chance to the degraders to appear and then survive in this world until the end of Kali Yuga, again which Krishna appears as Kalki Avatar, then he restarts Satya Yuga. So he appears in other 3 yugas predominantly because that is the time the dharma has to stand, and in the Kali Yuga he appears once to spread the holy names and bhakti for some time, and after that a chance is given to adharmic people to appear, and then finally they are also destroyed.
Yeah, that's the information, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, at the start of the session, you had mentioned the Gyan Yoga and Karma Yoga. The way I understood this, and I'm trying to confirm my understanding, Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga and Gyan Yoga, a subset of them would be towards Bhakti Yoga. Like for example, in Karma Yoga, if your karmas are in service of Krishna, they constitute Bhakti Yoga. In Gyan Yoga, if your understanding is to develop if your knowledge is to develop an understanding of Krishna to develop an affinity towards Krishna, then that becomes Bhakti Yoga. Now, in the end, final verse, it's all the doubts or the ignorance needs to be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. When Krishna is saying that, is he meaning generalized Gyan Yoga, which is everything which would be a slightly slower process as compared to that Gyan Yoga, which is a subset of Bhakti Yoga? Or is he meaning the Bhakti sense of Gyan Yoga?
Okay, very complicated question. So, in the beginning, just to summarize Prabhu's question, in the beginning we mentioned there are three meanings of Jnana Yoga. One is the general knowledge, which is applied in various places. The second is the traditional, the Jnana Yoga and the Karma Yoga, which is a separate yoga process. And then the third one is applied Bhakti. So where it is part of Bhakti only that is performed. The Bhakti Yoga, different practices of Bhakti Yoga is called Karma and Jnana. Right? Which one of these things is mentioned at the end? So here it is mentioned for both Jnana Yoga as well as the Jnana aspect of Bhakti Yoga. Both can destroy doubts. So in the Bhakti Yoga, knowledge about God destroys our ignorance about God. In the Jnana Yoga process, knowledge about Atma destroys knowledge about ignorance about Atma. So both are included in this. Is that clear, or you have?
No, I was trying to see if there's one more than the other when he says stand and fight for this particular.
Oh, I see. Okay. So, Yuttishta Bharata, stand and fight. Okay. See, when Krishna says stand and fight, if you are taking it as Jnana Yoga path, that you are understanding your Atma, your Dharma is superior to what you are seeing your relationship here in this world, which is what the questions Arjuna has put forward in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. If your understanding is that, understand your Atma and stand up and fight. There is one way. In the way of Bhakti Yoga, this is my instruction, stand up and fight. What we do in Bhakti Yoga, we follow the instructions of Krishna. So that is also applicable here. Stand up and fight because I am telling you. There is no other dharma involved. Krishna is directly telling Arjuna to fight.
Got it, Prabhu. Now it's kind of clear.
Yes, thank you. Mataji, you have a question?
I was just about to say, Prabhu, you were talking about so degraded that Krishna is allowing degraded people to come into Kali Yuga. So I was just thinking that we are all so degraded that we are in Kali Yuga. And he's allowing us to do some kind of devotional service so that we can upgrade ourselves.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, we are given a chance in this Kali Yuga to upgrade ourselves. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Thank you everyone for joining. Hare Krishna. Mancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha ananta gauri vaishnavandiki jai. Hare Krishna.